All right. Good morning. Welcome to yoga, everyone. I am Delia. For those of you who don't know, I think everyone knows me by now. We are going to do a pretty gentle, slow class today. So we're going to start in a comfortable seat of your choice. I'm going to sit up on my bolster because I like to lift my hips to take the pressure off my low back. If you don't have a bolster, you can always sit on a folded towel under the hips or a block. The block may become uncomfortable after long periods of time, so maybe a folded towel or blanket would be better. And once you find your comfortable seat, just take a moment to find any movement that feels good there. So maybe stretching through the arms, or maybe taking some shoulder rolls, maybe dropping one ear over one shoulder and then the other, or turning the head gently from side to side. Taking a moment here to begin to listen, to tune into your body. So maybe rocking a little in your seat, forward and back, side to side. Noticing where you're distributing the weight. And then as you begin to find stillness, see if you can sit up nice and tall through the spine, stacking the head over the heart, over the hips. So one long line of the spine. And then if it feels comfortable for you, you can go ahead and close the eyes. If you don't want to close the eyes for any reason, you can just find one point on the floor to gently rest your gaze several feet out in front of you. Beginning to settle into stillness here. Beginning to tune into your breath. And seeing if you can begin to gently release, taking a gentle body scan here. So starting at the top of your head, notice if there's any tension at the top of the head and the scalp. See if you can begin to soften it just by noticing. Moving down into the face, softening the forehead, all the muscles around the eyes, the jaw. And see if you can soften your ears and around the back of the head. Letting the neck and throat release. And let the shoulders grow heavy, melting away from the ears. Keeping this lift in the spine just enough to keep yourself upright, sitting nice and tall, but seeing if you can release any extra tension, any extra clenching in the body as we go through it. And tagging a little bit of weight into each elbow, feeling the heaviness in your arms. The spine is nice and straight, but see if you can soften the muscles around the spine just a little bit. The chest is soft and open. Feel your collarbones melting away from each other. Moving down through the torso, you've got a little bit of engagement in your core muscles. They help to support your back, but see if you can soften, finding any places that you don't need to be holding or clenching or gripping. And feel the hips supported by whatever you're sitting on, the mat, the bolster, the pillow, blanket. See if you can let your tailbone grow a little bit heavier. Feel your sit bones really rooting down into whatever you're sitting on. Feel the thighs begin to soften and relax. The knees are growing heavy, releasing to gravity. And the shins and calves soften and loosen. And relaxing each finger and toe, maybe even giving them a little bit of a wiggle before finding stillness again. And then let's go ahead and, if it's comfortable, take the hands together at the heart and begin to draw your attention back to your breath. Deepening the breath, smoothing it out. Seeing if you can draw each inhale down into the belly, but at the top of the inhale, seeing if you can feel the heart expand as well. So the chest will lift a little bit as you fill up. And then as you exhale, noticing the heart center releasing. And finally, the belly softens. And taking a few more deep, slow, full breaths here and checking in with your heart space. Noticing how you're feeling today. Are there any emotions there? Is there any tightness? Maybe in the upper back as well, the back side of the heart space. Knowing that whatever you find is absolutely fine and does not need to be changed. Just playing the role of a passive observer, noticing what comes up for you here when you think about your heart space. And around this time of year, I always like to do a class dedicated to self-love and self-care, because I think that while loving others is very important, that loving others is easy. Loving ourselves is hard. It can be very challenging for a lot of people to give the same love that they give to others to themselves. So just taking a moment to think about that, to check in, and seeing if you can take a few more breaths to dedicate this practice today to yourself. And dedicating yourself to be gentle, to check in, to listen to your body as you move on the mat, to give yourself props if needed, to give yourself breaks if needed, to recognize any negative self-talk in poses. Just take one more breath here, knowing that you are worthy. You are worthy of love, giving and receiving love from yourself and from others. And you are worthy just as you are in this moment. Take one more inhale through the nose, sealing this in. And exhale, open the mouth, sigh it out. Let's release the hands, beginning to bring some movement back into the fingers and toes, maybe rotating the wrists. Allowing the eyes to open if they are still closed. And either taking your hands to the tops of the thighs, or you can wrap them around the front of the knees. I have kind of short arms, so when we're doing seated cat-cow lately, I have discovered that I kind of like to move my hands back when I'm opening my heart. It's a little easier. So whatever's comfortable for you. So we're going to start at the base of the spine. So normally we wouldn't think of the base of the spine being involved in this. It's coming more from your heart center, but I want you to start your rolling up process as you begin to lift the chest. Think about it starting from the base of the spine and then traveling upwards. Maybe the chin will lift. You're drawing the shoulder blades back, squeezing them together. Inhale here. And exhale, start to drop the chin to the chest. Shoulders are going to round forward, really squeeze the belly button back towards the spine, and maybe grip the front of your knees for a little leverage here. Inhale, rolling up, starting at the base of the spine. Eventually, the chest will lift, shoulders will draw back, chin might lift. And exhale, reverse, rolling down. So moving with your own breath now, do a few rounds of seated cat-cow. And really notice here, even though you're starting from the base of the spine, really feel like you're opening the chest on the inhale when you come into your cat. Open to receive that love. And on your exhale, opening the back of the heart space. So really pulling the belly button in, dropping the chin to the chest, feeling that opening between the shoulder blades. Let's do a few more rounds. Moving with your breath, nice and slow. Let's do one more round. Opening the heart, inhaling as you open, and exhaling, rounding in. And then coming back up to neutral. Let's go ahead and inhale, reach the fingertips up. And then exhale, we're going to release the arms, but only to shoulder height. So arms are nice and straight. Pull the fingertips back towards you. So imagine that you're pressing the palms into two walls. And then as you're ready, go ahead and shrug the right shoulder up to the ear, just trying to isolate that movement and release it. Shrug the left shoulder up to the ear and let it go. Shrug both shoulders up to the ears, really squeeze and release. Hands are still at shoulder height. Press the hands in. We're going to do that one more time. So right shoulder squeezes and let it go. Left shoulder and release. Both shoulders really squeeze and let them go. Shake the arms out. All right. Let's inhale, reach the arms up again. Go ahead and interlace the fingers this time and press your palms up. And then notice here if your shoulders are creeping up towards your ears. See if you can soften them down while keeping the arms lifted. Seeing if you can lift more out of the waist than the shoulders. And then let's go ahead and take a side bend to the right from here. So left hip is nice and heavy, so you may not go as far. Take one more breath here. And then release that right hand down to the mat. Let's find a deeper side bend here. So left arm is up and over. And we're going to move a little bit here. So inhale, open your heart towards the ceiling. And exhale, rounding it down. And inhale to open. And exhale to round. One more time. Inhale, open. And exhale, round. And let's inhale, sit back up to center, reach through the left fingertips. And exhale, we're going to take our twist to the right. So left hand comes to the right leg. Right hand can come behind the hip. You can also take that right hand to the low back as well if you want to get that more opening in the shoulder. And then think about gently drawing that right shoulder back, opening the heart. Give it one more deep breath here. And then slowly release. Let's inhale, reach the arms up. Interlace the fingers one more time, press the palms towards the ceiling. And again, notice if your shoulders are creeping up, see if you can soften them. Lift from out of the waist. Inhale here and exhale. Let's take that side bend to the left this time. Right hip is heavy and anchoring you down. It's okay if you don't go very far over. And then release the left hand. Let's go a little bit further into our side bend. So right hip is still heavy, opening through the left side of the body. I'm sorry, right side. And inhale, open the chest, open that heart towards the ceiling, and exhale, rounding. Doesn't have to be a big movement here. Inhale to open, and exhale to round. One more time, lead with the heart center. Inhale to open, and exhale to round. And let's inhale, sit up nice and tall, reach the right hand, and exhale, let's come into our twist. So left hand can come behind that left hip, or you can take it to the low back again. Imagine drawing that left shoulder back. Lifting from the heart space. Take one more breath here. And then slowly release. Let's come into table. So take your time getting there. Go ahead and move any props aside. We're not going to spend very long in table, but if you need to pad the knees with a towel or some yoga pads, please do. All right. So setting up in your steady table here, spreading the fingers wide, knees are right under the hips. And wrists can be under the shoulders, or they can be a little bit in front if you need to take some of the pressure off of the wrists. And then press into the hands. Feel this rounding, this opening between the shoulder blades. So almost exaggerate that. Belly button is hugging in. And then let just the heart center drop down towards the mat as you squeeze the shoulder blades together. So we're not really doing a cat-cow here. We're just kind of moving with the upper body a little bit. And then press your hands down, round through the shoulder blades again. And then drop just the heart space down. And you're squeezing the shoulder blades together behind you. Let's do one more. Press the hands into the mat. Really feel that rounding, that opening between the shoulder blades. And then drop the heart space down. This is a pretty subtle movement. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. And then let's come back up to neutral. We're going to keep our left hand planted. We're going to inhale, send our right fingertips up. And exhale, we're just going to dip that right hand under the left. And inhale to open the heart. And exhale, dip that hand under. We're going to do one more. Inhale, reach and open. And exhale, thread the needle here. And then take a moment to check in with yourself. What is the most gentle, the most self-care option that you can pick here? Sometimes we just come into poses like this just by rote. We do the same thing we do in every practice. See if you can listen to your body. Notice what your body needs. Maybe a block under the head. Maybe you need more space and you want to extend that foot long behind you. Or maybe you just need to stay exactly as you landed. Breathing into the back of the shoulder blades, into the left side body. Take one more breath, knowing that you are worthy to take this time, to spend this time on yourself, to focus on your self-care. And then slowly begin to release the hand if it was lifted, release the knee if it was lifted. Draw that left hand back, use it to help you press back and up. And we'll come back into our table and we'll take the other side. So right hand stays planted. Inhale, left hand reaches. Exhale, we're just going to dip that hand under the right arm. And inhale, lift and open. And exhale, just dipping it under, rounding the upper back. One more time. Inhale, reach. And exhale, thread the needle. Finding whatever feels comfortable on this side. Each side might be different, knowing that that's absolutely fine. Noticing if you've started to judge yourself in any pose, if you're engaging in any negative self-talk. It's very hard not to compare ourselves to others, especially to the teacher when we're on our mat. But notice if you're also comparing yourself to yourself, to a different day, to a different version. Maybe you were feeling more flexible then. So notice if you started to judge. Seeing if you can bring yourself back to the breath. Seeing if you can let any judgments go. Knowing that you are absolutely fine in this moment. You are who you are supposed to be. And you're practicing self-love and self-care by even getting on the mat. Take one more deep, deep breath. And then release the knee if it was lifted. Draw that right hand back. Slowly press yourself back and up. And go ahead and grab a block. We're going to place it on the center of our mat. And we're moving into puppy pose, which is a deep heart opener. So if for some reason this pose does not feel good on your body, you can just come into a child's pose, maybe also with the forehead on the block. So for puppy pose, we're going to keep our hips over our knees, and we're just going to walk our hands forward. And then release your forehead to the block. So the block's going to give you a little extra lift. And you're going to keep the arms pretty straight here, pressing the palms into the mat, letting the heart center release down towards your mat. Shoulders are dropping away from the ears. And you've got a little bit of engagement in your lower belly to try and support your low back here. Again, if this is an uncomfortable pose, please find child's pose. Breathing here, feeling that heart center grow heavy. Releasing it down towards the mat. Take one more deep, deep, full breath. And then slowly walk the hands back. Take your time coming out of these poses. And we're going to keep our blocks, and we're actually going to grab a second one as well, if you have one. If you don't, you can do this without blocks. That's totally fine. We're going to come down onto our belly, and we're going to place the blocks under where we normally place our hands in baby cobra. So take your time coming down to your belly here. And then make any adjustments you need. Blocks are going to come right under the shoulders, so they're tucked in towards the chest. Oops, as I squash my microphone. So palms are going to come on top of the blocks, and I'm hugging my elbows into the side body. So I'm pressing my hips down,
pressing the tops of my feet into the mat. And I'm going to gently release my forehead as close to the mat as possible, if not all the way down. So on your next inhale, press the hips down, press your hands into the blocks, and gently lift the chest, draw the elbows back. So coming into your baby cobra. And exhale, release. And do a few more cobra rolls. Inhale, rolling up through the spine, elbows draw back. Exhale, lower. 2 more times. Inhale, lifting, pressing those hips down, squeezing the shoulder blades. Exhale to lower. And last round. Inhale, lifting gently. And exhale, release. Go ahead and set your blocks aside. And then just stack the palms in front of you and release your forehead to the hands. Softening the lower back, softening the legs, the glutes. Seeing if you can soften the back of the neck. Breathing into the whole back body here. Seeing if you can focus your attention on the back of the heart space here. Seeing if you can send some breath there. Feel that gentle rise and fall. Take one more breath here. And then slowly bring the hands back. We're going to press up to Sphinx just for a moment here. So elbows are under the shoulders. Hands are straight out in front. And I'm going to turn my right hand towards the left. And I'm going to bend my left knee. And then maybe I'm just going to take my left hand and look over my shoulder. So my left hand is by my chest. I'm lifting up a little bit. Or if you'd like, you can reach back and grab hold of the left foot. If you are grabbing hold of the left foot, go ahead and lower the chest down towards the mat again. And then press that left side of the hips down as well. So gaze is straight down, or you're twisting if you're doing the gentler option, or you're just staying in Sphinx. So part of self-love and self-care is listening to your body. Your shape does not have to look anything like mine. What's right for my body in this moment is not necessarily what's right for yours. Take one more breath. And if you were holding the foot, gently release it. Let's come back into our Sphinx. Press the elbows down. See if you can open the heart forward. Press the shoulders down. And let's move into the other side. So left fingers go over to the right, giving you some support here. Maybe taking that right hand by the chest and turning to look over the right shoulder. Maybe bending that right knee. If you'd like, you can stay here. You can stay in Sphinx, or you can reach back for your right foot. Little shoulder opener here as well. If you're reaching for the foot, go ahead and lower the chest back down towards the mat, pressing that right hip into the mat. That's going to help you deepen that stretch. Breathing wherever you are. Don't lose that connection to the breath. And if you do, come out of the shape until you can reconnect. Take one more breath wherever you are. And if you were holding that foot, go ahead and gently release it. Come back to Sphinx for one more breath here. Draw the elbows back, draw the heart center forward, press into the elbows and arms. And then slowly release, take the hands under the shoulders. Let's press up and back into table. And from table, we're gonna curl the toes under and lift the hips up into downward dog. So take your time, finding your downward dog, making any adjustments here that you need to. I almost never come into down dog and can just hold it. I always need to make some adjustment to my hands, to my feet. Maybe taking your dog for a little walk. Pressing into all 10 knuckles, into all 10 fingertips, and imagining lifting the hips up and back, drawing the shoulders away from the ears, bending the knees as much as you'd like. Give one more breath here, pressing your heart center back. And then look up at your hands. Either take a slow walk or just step up to meet the hands. Bending the knees generously here, hanging into your forward fold. Maybe taking your ragdoll by clasping opposite elbows. Letting the head and neck hang heavy. Maybe finding a little sway. Noticing where your weight is in the feet. See if you can even it out between heels and toes. And then release the hands if they were clasped. Let's inhale, hands come to the legs for support. Halfway lift, shoulders draw back. Exhale, soften and release. 2 more times. Inhale, halfway. Core is drawn in. Exhale, let it go. Inhale, halfway lift. Feel that lift coming from the belly button, pulling towards the spine. And exhale, let it go. Let's bend the knees extra generously. Start a slow roll up. Moving nice and slow with control, taking your time. Eventually, you will come all the way up. And shaking it out if you need to, making any adjustments you need. Grabbing a sip of water if you need to as well. Remembering this practice is all about you. All right. So let's come into our mountain pose. Feet are about hip distance apart or closer, whatever makes you feel more stable. And let's inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, we're going to squeeze the elbows down, squeeze the shoulder blades together, open the heart. And inhale to reach. Exhale, squeeze. Let's do 2 more times. Inhale to reach. Exhale, squeeze. Last one, inhale, reach. And exhale, squeeze. Go ahead and release the arms. Still with our feet in mountain, I'm going to go ahead and step to warrior one. So I'm going to step my right foot back, take a nice big step, but a natural one. You shouldn't feel like you're reaching or making yourself off balance. Right toes are pointing at about the 2 if my mat was a clock face. My back heel is down. And then I'm going to dial that right hip forward. So if you feel unstable here, if you're having a hard time getting that back heel down, make sure that your feet are wide enough apart. So take them out further to the edges of the mat, especially if you feel unstable. And then find a bend in that left knee, only as much as you'd like. press that press the right heel down. Feel that tucking of the tailbone. Maybe stay here with the hands on the hips. You can take the hands together at the heart, or you can lift them up. And then notice if those shoulders are creeping towards the ears again. See if you can soften them while keeping the arms lifted. Feeling that opening in the side body, feeling that opening in the heart. This is a bit of a power pose here. We're going to hold it a little bit longer. Take one more breath. Remember, you are worthy of receiving love from yourself and from everyone else. And then let's release the right hand down to the right leg. And with our left knee still bent, we're going to take a reverse warrior from here. So just reach that left hand up. It's a little bit of an awkward reverse warrior. Normally we do it from warrior two. One more breath. And then slowly come up. Release the hand, straighten the leg. Let's step that right foot back forward. Shake out the legs if you need to. Let's inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, take the hands down the center line as you fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, let it go. Inhale, hands can come to the legs to press up, or you can reach them out to the sides and sweep the arms up. And exhale, hands together at the heart. Let's do the other side with our warrior. So this time from mountain, we're going to take a big step back with that left foot. Remember to take your feet wide enough that you have room for your hips, that you have room to feel stable. Back toes are turned at about the 11 or 10 if your mat was a clock face. Go ahead and bend, take that left hip forward. So square the hips first and then find that bend in the right knee. So pressing that left heel down. And your bend does not have to be a big bend. Warrior shapes are one of the ones where we give ourselves a lot of negative self-talk. So remember that your shape does not have to look like mine to be doing it right. You're doing it right for your body. So pressing that left heel down, hands can stay here. They can come to the heart, or they can lift up. Checking in with the breath here. Oftentimes when we move, especially when I move, I have a tendency to get out of breath. So my breath is a little bit faster. It's a little tight in this pose. And that's okay. Often we judge ourselves very harshly for things like that. So see if you can just soften the breath. See if you can slowly re-deepen it. Lift the heart. Take one more breath here. And then release that left hand to the left thigh. Right knee is going to stay bent. It may bend a little bit more as you reach the right hand over. Take one more breath into that heart space. And then slowly come back up. Release the arms. Step that left foot forward. Shake it out. All right. So we're going to work on a balance pose before we take it down to the mat. We haven't done this one very often. So my recommendation to you is if you find that your balance is a little wiggly today, go to a wall or a chair or the couch, something that you can put your hand on that's going to help you balance here. So I'm not just saying that just to be like, I'm going to balance perfectly and all of you should go to a wall. No, it's very important to try and get into the fundamentals of how the pose should feel. And I happen to have a wall right here and I'm going to use it. So go to a wall if you need to. You can also hold on to the back of a chair, really to anything that's not lower than waist height, I would say. So we're going to practice dancer. And dancer is kind of similar to what we were doing on the floor when we were in our Sphinx. We were holding on to one of our legs. We're going to do the same thing here. We're just going to do it while standing. So go ahead and find your wall. And then the first step is to just lean your weight a little bit into that left foot. And then we're going to lift the right foot and just bend the knee. So I'm going to turn sideways here so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just bending the knee like this. I'm trying to keep my knees pretty stable. This may be as far as you want to go today, and that's totally fine. If you can, bending a little bit more, maybe reaching back for the heel. If you can reach and grab the foot or the toes at any height, then that's a more full version of the pose. But notice if your shoulder starts to hurt. So this is a big shoulder opener. You want to roll that right shoulder back. So you're hugging the shoulder blades together. And I'm just standing here. I'm not really pulling. I'm trying to keep my knees pretty even. This may be enough for you. My core is engaged. If you want to go a little bit further, then you can start to lift that foot a little, start to drop your chest a little bit. But you're really more opening the chest as you pull that foot back behind you. So we're not going to go really far into the pose today. This is about as far as we're going to go. So maybe dropping a little bit more in the chest, maybe lifting the foot a little bit more. Your gaze should be down at the floor a few feet in front of you to help you balance. Take one more breath. And then slowly press back up. Really slowly release the foot. Come out of the pose. Shake it out. Maybe roll the shoulders. Maybe roll that left foot or hip. So the nice thing about holding onto a wall is that we can really feel in our body what these balancing poses are supposed to feel like before we bring into it any type of stability on our own without the support of the wall. So we're going to do the other side. So I'm going to turn. I'll actually use this wall behind me so you can see me from the side. So now we're going to shift our weight onto our left foot. I'm sorry, onto our right foot. And we're going to start to bend that left knee. So maybe you're holding here. Maybe this is enough for you. If that's the case, lift in the belly, press the hips forward, and open the heart just a little bit. And if you only have something in front of you to hold on to, that's totally fine too. You can even use both hands on it. If you want to go a little bit further, start to bend that knee a little bit more. Maybe reach for the heel. Maybe wiggle around to grab onto the toes. See, and even yoga teachers fall out of their poses. Take your time, come back into it. So I'm trying to drop my left knee so it's pointing down towards the mat. So it's not coming in front of me like this. I'm trying to pull it so it's down. I'm pressing my hips forward. I'm drawing my left shoulder back, hugging my shoulder blades together. Maybe this is enough for you. Staying wherever it feels most comfortable. Maybe starting to find a little bit of that tilt. So I'm lifting my foot behind me. I'm tilting my heart a little bit forward. Take one more breath wherever you are, listening to your body if you need to come out. And then slowly coming back up to center first, then releasing that foot, shaking it out. Maybe shaking out both legs. All right. Very nice, everyone. Let's inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, squeeze the elbows together, open the heart. Inhale to reach. And exhale, hands down the center line as you fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Nice long spine. Exhale, let it go. Let's bend the knees, plant the hands, step to downward dog. Take one breath here as you press your heart center back. And then release the knees. Find child's pose or puppy posture, any version that feels comfortable for your body. I'm taking a wide-legged child's pose, so my knees are as wide as the mat. And I'm going to find more of a bend in my elbows. So my shoulders are feeling quite tight today. I'm going to bend my elbows more, take them out to the edges of my mat. Softening the body here, softening the breath. Take one more deep breath wherever you are. And then walk the hands back. Slowly press back up. So I'm going to take my knees parallel to each other again. My feet are going straight back, and I'm going to walk my hands back so I'm coming up on my knees. So if you need to pad the knees, please do. We're going to take a very intro version of camel. We've done this a few times before in class. So go ahead and look behind you. Make sure your feet are pointing straight back from each knee. And then I like to curl my toes under here. You may need to help your feet a little bit. I always do. My toes never want to curl. So I find that curling my toes under makes it more stable, but if this is painful for your feet, then go ahead and have them straight. So I'm going to take my hands to my low back, the back of my hips, and I'm going to start to press my hips forward. So I'm lifting my spine nice and long. I'm squeezing my elbows together behind me, and I'm pressing my hips forward as if I'm trying to press them into a wall. And then maybe I'm looking up just a little bit. Really pressing the hips forward. If you want to go a little bit further, you can start to lean back, body. Give it one more breath. Slowly start to come back up. Press through the knees to come back. Release the hands. Uncurl the toes. Come back into table. And let's just bump the hips to the left. Look over your right shoulder. And come back through center. And bump the hips right. Look over the left shoulder. And back to center. And we're going to come all the way through onto our back. So take a moment here to grab both of your blocks. If you don't have blocks, you can use a bolster here or a pillow. So we're going to set our blocks up in a different configuration. I'm going to hold them up so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to set mine up like that. So it's kind of a T shape. They're on their lowest setting. Mine are not going to be touching. I'm just kind of showing you the alignment. So one is going to be facing perpendicular to my mat, the top one, that's where my head is going to rest. The bottom one is going to be facing parallel, and it's going to go between my shoulder blades. So we're coming into supported fish pose. This is a really nice heart opener. So the bottom of the bottom block is going to hit right about where my bra strap, my sports bra strap hits. For gentlemen, that's going to be right about the bottom of your shoulder blades. So I want the block between my shoulder blades. And I want my head to be resting on the block that's behind it. So take time to make any adjustments here. This is not we're just going to come into it and forget about it pose. So make any adjustments that you need. If this is an uncomfortable pose for you for any reason, you can always just lay on your back. So you can keep your knees bent here. And go ahead and open the palms out if you can. So my arms are still down by my sides, but I've got space between my body and my hands. And my palms are flipped up, so I'm getting the full opening in the shoulders. And you can just keep your knees bent. I'm going to take the bottoms of my feet together and my knees wide, so reclined butterfly. Your legs can also just extend straight out. And again, if this is not a comfortable or supportive pose for you, if you still want to get this heart opening, you can come into supported bridge, which we take a lot, whereas you're just taking one block under the sacrum. So that's also a really gentle inversion, a very gentle heart opener. So wherever you are, allow the chin to lift just a little bit, opening the throat. And again, I'm making little micro adjustments as my body starts to release over the block. I start to find areas that are uncomfortable. So feel free to do that if you need to. And then begin to take some long, slow, deep breaths into the belly, into the chest. Drawing your attention back into your heart space. Noticing if anything has shifted there, if anything new has come up. We've been working on opening the heart a lot, and often when we work with this heart space, this fourth chakra, a lot of emotion can come up here, especially around the ideas of self-love and self-care. I think everyone has felt unworthy of love at some point in their life. So if anything comes up for you here, just allow it to be there. Allow it to arrive. Often we feel like we need to block or control our emotions. But using yoga, using pranayama, the breath, can help us allow these emotions to safely exist, to come to the surface, and then to release, leaving us feeling more open to receive that love from ourselves and from others. So take a few more deep, deep breaths here, knowing, remembering that you are worthy of this love. You don't have to change anything about yourself to be worthy of it. You are worthy of it right now, right as you are in this moment. Knowing that self-love is not something we come into and we just find it and it clicks and then we live in that space for the rest of our lives. It's something we have to cultivate, something we have to practice. So if you're not feeling connected to that love right now, that's okay. Just focusing on breathing into that heart center for one more deep, deep, full breath. And if your legs are out, if your knees are out in reclined cobbler, go ahead and use your hands to gently close the legs. And to come out of fish pose, we're going to roll off to one side. So take your time rolling off over onto one side and then using your top hand to gently press yourself up so you can move the blocks aside. We're going to take one final twist and then we're going to come into Shavasana. So you may want to keep the blocks nearby. I'm going to invite you to return to fish pose either with the blocks or I'm going to take the variation over the bolster for Shavasana. So if you want to do that, then keep your props nearby. But for right now, we're not going to use them. We're going to come back down onto our back. So take your time. And when you arrive, go ahead and Draw the knees into the chest and give yourself a big hug. Maybe rock a little side to side. I can hear my floor creaking. I live in an old apartment. All right. And then when you're ready, go ahead and open the arms out to either side, or you can take cactus or goalpost arms with the elbows bent. And we're going to drop the knees over to the right, releasing them all the way to the floor or to a block if the floor feels far away today. Trying your best to keep that left shoulder blade on the mat. If you'd like, you can turn your chin gently to the left as well, only if that feels good for your neck. And then notice all of the places where your body is touching the mat. See if you can begin to soften and release them a little bit more to gravity here. Breathing in space into that left side body, into the left hip. Feeling that openness on the left side of your chest. Take one more breath here. And then go ahead and take your chin back to center if it was turned. One knee at a time, slowly engage the core, draw the knees back. So my knees are going to separate as they come back up. It's a little bit safer for my low back. And then when you're ready, if you need to drop the feet first to scoot the hips, go ahead. I have a very small space. When you're ready, go ahead and drop those knees over to the left, releasing them to the floor or to a block. Your chin can turn ever so slightly to the right if that feels good for the neck. Softening into the support of your mat, breathing into those spaces that are gently opening. The right side of the chest, the right side of the rib cage, that right hip and leg. Right shoulder is nice and heavy and softening down towards your mat. And give yourself one more deep, deep, full breath here. And then if your head was turned, gently take the chin back to center. Engage the core, and again, one knee at a time. Lift the knees back up to center as well. Maybe rock a little bit, maybe hold on to the knees. If you'd like, on an exhale, you can draw the nose up towards the knees, curling into a little ball. And then slowly releasing. Go ahead and release the feet. So we're going to come into Shavasana now. Go ahead and take any final movements you might need. I'm going to set up by rolling to one side again. I'm going to grab my bolster and at least one block. You can also use two. And I'm going to set up for a more supportive version of fish. So we've done this before where you prop one end of the bolster up with a block or two blocks. If this is not a comfortable Shavasana pose for you, please find any other that feels better. I highly recommend you can return to fish on the blocks if that was comfortable. You can also return to a supported bridge with that block under the sacrum, or you can find any other comfortable pose. So I'm going to take the back of my hips right up against that bolster, so there's no space between them, and I'm going to lay over it. And then again, your knees can just stay bent, or you can come back to that Supta Baddha Konasana butterfly pose with the soles of the feet together, knees wide. My palms are going to face up. My shoulders are drawing away from my ears. If you're still moving into your comfortable Shavasana, that's fine. Take your time. When you feel like you have arrived there,
Allow the eyes to soften or close. And let's all take a deep, deep, full breath into our heart space. Inhale. Exhale, open the mouth, sigh it out. Deep, deep, full breath in. Long letting go, sigh out. One more time. On this time, inhale all of the love that you feel for others. And exhale, sigh it out. Release that love into the world for yourself and for others. And feel free to sigh a few more times if the body needs that. Otherwise, allowing the breath to return to its natural rhythm. And feeling the weight of your body on your props or on your mat. And giving yourself permission to just arrive right here in this moment, to surrender to gravity, knowing that there's nowhere else you have to be, nothing else you have to be doing. For these last few moments of your practice, just giving yourself the gift of this time and space, this stillness, to absorb your practice, to soften and release with love anything that's no longer serving you. And to open your body to receive all of the love of the people in your life and from yourself. Slowly beginning to deepen the breath once more. Feeling the breath fill up the belly, fill up the heart. If it's comfortable, taking one hand to your heart and one hand to your belly. Feeling this breath moving through the body, this energy of life. And taking a moment of gratitude here that you are safe, that you are well, that you are alive, that you have this time and space to focus on yourself, on love for yourself and self care here on your mat. And also taking a moment to send this love to anyone that you feel might need it. It can be a very specific person, it could be an animal, it could be the world at large. Sending all of this love in your heart and allowing yourself to feel any love in return from the people in your life, from the animals in your life, from the world around you. Noticing little acts of love and self kindness. Take one more deep breath here. And then, if you are supported by props, go ahead and release the hands, bring the knees together if you are in cobbler or butterfly, and gently roll to one side off of your props, whichever side feels best. And then press yourself back up, coming back to a comfortable seat. Allowing the eyes to soften or close once you get there, and sitting up nice and tall. If it's comfortable, bringing the hands together at the heart one more time. And taking a moment to bow the head, just dropping the chin a little bit towards the chest. Acknowledging this love for yourself and others, knowing that if you are not feeling it strongly now or at all, that it's a practice, it's a journey. Keep coming back to it, keep practicing. Take a moment of gratitude to yourself, to everyone in our community. I am so grateful for you. You all have my love, my support, always. Thank you very much for joining me. Namaste.